All right, all right. It looks like
It's
we are
time.
live,
Yes.
but technology has been teching
What?
today. So I'm just gonna double check and make sure that I can actually see myself on here. And YouTube is saying that we're
And
live.
it's
Let's
not going to
see.
stop you. It's not going to stop
It's
us.
not. It's not. If we the only ones listening, we're gonna have the discussion anyway. That's for sure. Y'all can catch the replay if that's the case. All right, so we are on Facebook and on YouTube. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So for those of you who are tuning in,
Welcome.
this is the coaches are in, and I would have loved to have been able to play our intro for you, but like I said, tech has been teching, so yeah, I wasn't able to do that. So just act like you hear it and just come
Right.
on
We hear it.
in. So we are the coaches are in. I am Dr. Sharita Witherspoon. I'm a business strategist and alignment coach, and I work with Black women entrepreneurs, helping them to move from just being, successful and unsatisfied, but being successful and satisfied, and making sure that their bank accounts are looking good too.
Important, very
Yeah,
important point.
yeah. Who's next?
I am Allison Garrett. I'm a behavioral interventionist, and I work with professional women who are unable to identify what has them stuck without years of therapy.
And I'm Dr. Malika Turner. I am the confidence coach here on the show, but also I am the founder and CEO of The Speaker LLC. I twofold confidence building, motivation, motivating women through various different ways, but also building confidence and providing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. We are live. I keep forgetting we're live. Okay, we're
Right. Yeah, so make it work. So
right.
she gonna get you together as it
Yeah,
relates
I'm
to
just going to get you
confidence.
together through
Okay.
motivation and training. That's what I do.
Yes. Yes. All right. And I do see that one of our guests has arrived, so we're going to bring Miss Alexis Dobbins to the stage. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi, I'm going to ask the same question. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. All right, good.
All right. So do you want to tell the people who you are and what you do?
Okay, I'm Alexis Dobbins. I am a currently a full-time teacher, educator, but I also am the CEO of Reclaiming Excellence, and there we work with parents and students, but primarily parents, to introduce where trauma is impacting students in their academic achievement, in their social emotional learning. And I provide strategies and support to help move them. And I do that, I think, in a unique way, because what I do is really focus on the history of African Americans and how we have overcome struggles and how having a better sense of who you are allows you to move forward and not remain rooted in your trauma.
Excellent.
Okay, so that is excellent, and I'm going to guess that you got a lot out of this book that we're reading.
I had to catch myself because I was starting to act like I wrote it. And then I was like, no, you didn't. It's her book. But there's a lot going on. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. All right. So, if for those of you who are joining us, if you're not aware that we are actually live tonight, and
Yes, we are.
discussing our book for this season, which is Rest is Resistance, a manifesto by Tricia Hersey. Um, she is the founder of the NAP ministry. But as you read through this book, you will learn that she is not just talking about going to sleep for an
Please.
hour in the middle of the day.
It's so much
Is
deeper.
that so much
Absolutely
deeper,
not.
so much
Absolutely not.
deeper. The one thing I will say is that if you do any work in DEI, you might want to read this book. Absolutely might want to read this book. So Dr. Malika is going to facilitate our discussion this evening. So I am going to turn it on over to her and let her take us in.
Well, ladies, we have a lot to unpack. I said this earlier. There is so much to. I'm going to facilitate discussion on rest and dream. Is that right, Dr. Sharita? I have both, right?
Yes.
Okay. Audience, y'all better get it together. Take some notes, turn on record.
Mhm.
So because we have so much, and I really understanding that I selected pieces that resonated with me, but we're going to engage in some discussion, and there are some things that our other hostess may have as well. But let's just like get right into it. So part one, rest. And I was talking earlier, I have this on Audible, so I was going back between Audible and the hard copy to just take some notes, but I wanted to start with, well, here we go. She loves her quotes, okay? But to start it out, every shut eye ain't sleep. I'm resting my eyes. I'm listening, which is a quote from her maternal grandmother, who really, as we talked, was the basis of her starting this whole movement. But I really, because of, I think all of us can relate to, on page 48, she talks a lot about, goes into talking about her father and his impact on her life and this movement, and how he was an assistant pastor and the kind of work that he did in the church. And I made a note because I just felt like we all can relate to this idea of the Black church. And we talk about Sundays are a day of rest. But what she found was that, and we probably all can attest to this, that rest did not really take place on Sundays. As a matter of fact, where was rest as we related to the church? Because her father was constantly on go. So he had a full-time job and was constantly on go for the church as well. So much so that he was kind of on call, if you will. You know, they could call in the middle of the night for prayer or these kinds of things that they needed. But what she said was, I think on page 49, she said, my father was also giving me knowledge of how to decolonize. He was considered a Black militant because of his interest in politics and Black liberation. And he taught me from a very young age that the government was solely focused on money. So there was like a two-part for him. It was the idea that, yes, I was working full time, taking care of my family. I was a pastor and I was working. But also he was pouring into her about this whole idea of decolonization. But I also wanted to just go to page 51. And this is where I wanted to just talk about this a little bit. She talks about our worth and our work. And she in the last, about the last sentence in the first paragraph of page 51, she said, there's something that lurks beneath when we are living in a system founded on our labor to prove our worth as human beings. And so I just wanted to just the whole idea. One more thing. She says the link between sleep deprivation and stress to be developed of chronic disease is real. And she talks about her father. She said he had major health issues at a young age: diabetes, obesity, high blood pressure, heart disease, and sleep apnea. And the internalized grind culture sets things in motion for as an early age of death, which was 55. So just that whole idea of the work that her father did, twofold. One, because he had to provide for family, but the Black church and what we all do in the name of ministry and serving the Lord, yet can be very, very much a part of that capitalistic mindset, which is grind.
Right.
So just wanted to put that out there and get your thoughts on that, because I think we all can relate because we're all part of the Black church.
Yes.
So let's let our guest go first.
Oh, let her get out there. And A lot of thoughts actually go through my head. One is, and anybody that knows me knows that this is one of my, it's not an issue. I would say it is an observation that as I was growing up, you worked your way into heaven. It had nothing to do with who you were or your relationship with God. It was what you did. And the more you did, the more likely you were to hit this goal, if you will. Um, as I got older, and it's funny because I'm going through um, political socialization with my students at this point. But there is a socialization that comes with simply growing up as part of a family. And I found myself in a church that I will forever love my pastor. But the concept was the same. The more you did, the more you're proving that you are worthy. You are worthy of whatever accolades we're going to give you, whatever office you're going to hold, but we're not sure what your relationship with God is. We don't even, that's like, we hope you have one, but you got to go. You got to be here Monday. You got to be here Tuesday. You got to be here Wednesday. Thursday, if you're really tired, you can stay home, but then you got to be back out on Friday. We got things done all day Saturday. We got things going on all day Saturday. And of course, you're going to be here Sunday. And I think that is closely tied to and I'm just going to be, I may never be here again. So I'm just going to be honest with how I'm feeling. I think the Black church historically is tied into what we were taught when we arrived in this country. And it dovetails very nicely with our worth out of the Middle Passage was what you did. And the more cotton you could pick, or the more food you could cook, or the heavier weight you could carry, or if they could put you in the field and the ox became ill, but I can pull the plow just like the ox. It was the same sort of, and it's all connected. And I think we have to consciously dismantle the two. We have to give ourselves permission to be and not focus on do. And that is very difficult. And then you have capitalism, which says if you want this, then you must do this. And you have to be, again, very mindful as you observe that the folks, if you want to look at this, capitalist tower, the people who are at the top are not doing all that working and all that running and all that moving and all that spinning and all that turning. That's what you're there for. You just work yourself into a frenzy, and their role is to reap the benefits of you spinning and turning. But almost as people of color, any way we turn, it is about working your fingers to the bone. We act as if grind mentality is new. It is not. We as Black people, we've been in grind mentality since we got here. It's kind of cute now, but it is not new. And the thing that I loved about the book is that it parsed apart how we got here and why we don't need to stay here. So
Yeah.
I may not have another. I mean, maybe I
Just
have.
like I don't know if I could be allowed to come back. So let
Oh
me.
Yeah,
no, that's fine. Look, listen. If we're not anything else on this show,
We're real.
it is real.
For real. For real.
It is, and I think that it goes. That you mentioned the term that she mentions also, the grind culture. She says in page 54, grind culture killed my father
mhm,
and is killing us physically and spiritually. Sleep deprivation is a public health issue and a racial justice issue.
mhm,
And then she goes in to talk about the research. And really, as Black people, we are, I think that's all we know is the grind. I mean, And that's why we have to reprogram. She uses repetition a good bit here. She repeats capitalism and white supremacy. Grind culture is violence, and violence creates trauma. She repeats rest is our divine right. And you can tell that, to me, it's like she's using that as a tool through the book. And then when you listen to it, it comes off differently. But when you hear it, it's almost like it's a tool for her to keep reminding us, because if we're going to undo this thinking, we need to hear it over and over and over. Didn't know if you all had any thoughts about grind culture or the Black church before we move forward.
I did just really quickly. I think it was something that you really have to sit with when she's describing this as something that has always been.
Mm.
And it's ironic to think, like, right now we think some of the terms that she uses, like, like you always got to grind.
Right.
And we're looking at that like that's new, like everything's a hustle, like get your hustle on, that's what we do. You got to get late nights and early mornings, like all the things that we say. But who would have thought that it came from just the origin of the place where we felt safe? That in itself felt like strategic in programming by the Black church, but unintentional, if that makes sense. It's like if we need a group of people to do these things, where are they going? Well, then church was it.
A safe place.
It was a safe place. It was the gathering. It was, where you went. So as you start to move forward in that, that's where the information is coming from, is from the church. We looked at that as our freedom, to me. Felt like the more I do, the better I am. I have to be better than this group of people, or better than the white people, or and that became the motivation, which I think Alexa said it perfectly. It's not new. It's always been here, but we're just seeing it in a different way, and it's almost pushed to be so positive. And when you think of someone saying like, if that culture killed my father, it's like, dang, like, wow, that it's killing all of us.
Yeah, I think it killed many people over the years. The grind, the work, and because I think that as a result of what we've experienced, grinding is positive because it's survival. It's like, if you're going to survive, you got to be on your grind. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to be successful, you got to be on your grind.
Right.
So I have something to say about both things, Black church and grind culture. So the Black church, now when you go back to when they brought us over here, right? Our pastors were white men originally, who used the Bible against us to keep us enslaved. They only let us see what they wanted us to see, right? That's after you actually learn how to read. They only told you what they wanted to tell you.
Yeah.
Right? Then they gave certain worthy Negroes permission to be pastors, who could only teach what they wanted them to teach. So when you look at it from that perspective, I mean, like it is indoctrination, right?
Right.
That has carried over. So while the Bible and church has kind of become the saving grace of Black people, it only remains so because we as a collective don't go back to the origins and like, wait a minute,
right?
How does my captor and my enslaver then get to teach me my religious beliefs?
I love you. That right there.
Things to keep me enslaved. And And I mean, and really to this day, I would even say to an extent that like it's still being used against us, right? And but we are now also doing it to ourselves because
Right.
we do not want to give as hard as we want to work. We don't want to work to become knowledgeable to free ourselves, right? So I'm gonna leave that there on that. Now, when we talk about grind culture, um, it has, Alexis, you said it's cute now. Like it is. People wear that badge of I'm grinding, I'm hustling, like it is a good thing, right? It's a badge of honor for people to say that, right? But
I
then
have,
hmm, you
I
had
have, yeah, I've
absolutely. We
posted,
probably are all
you know,
guilty
like
of
I'm
it
on
when
my
we don't
grind,
know any better.
y'all grind, you know. I mean,
Yes, yes. But now you have more recently this whole idea of the soft life, right? And now the people who used to be hustling and grinding, they live in the soft life, or they want you to think they live in the soft life. But then you have this counter voice coming in saying you can't live the soft life until you grind it and
Find
hustle and
it out.
work,
first,
Yes, yes. You
right?
gotta qualify. You gotta qualify.
Exactly, exactly. Now, I get what they're saying. You got to put in some work, some effort to accomplish some things to then be able to sit back and relax and enjoy the soft life. I get that because food just doesn't magically show up on your table,
Mhm.
right? The bill's not gonna get paid unless somebody paying them. So there is some work to be done, but we have not seemed to find a balance where I can work, my work is valuable, but it is not a reflection of my worth, and I have a right to rest even before I get to the point of being tired,
right?
right?
Yes.
And there are fruits or rewards that come from my labor that are valuable to me, not just to the people that working for. And I think that we have not found that place, and not just as a people in terms of Black people, but an entire like world society. Like we have not found that place. But um, working yourself to death, working your fingers to the bone, like all those terminologies that we like to use, there,
Hmm.
there is nothing cute about it. It it's not a badge of honor. Don't be a martyr for a society that doesn't value you anyway.
Right, 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 right.
Yeah.
And if we, I'm being conscious of time because I know we still have Dream, but I do want to say this: rest is not supposed to be that vacation that we take once a year. And she talks about that in page 61. And I made a note. It's not a one-off or a twice a year thing. It really is, if we're going to reprogram ourselves, undo, unlearn. Something you said, I think, Sharita, it how do okay, something you said that made formed a question in my mind. How do you know you need to rest unless you feel tired? You know what I'm saying? Like because we're programmed that when I'm feeling worn down, now I know I
That's
need
messed
to
up.
rest.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
what I like what she does is she talks about the many different ways that you can build rest into your day, into
Mhm.
your activity. Because she mentions being babies, and babies, when you think about it, your little ones knew when it was time for a nap, but something shifted, like
Yeah.
life shifted. And like, I'll just say, as parents, we shifted, and it was like, okay, we're done with naps. They go to school, there's that capitalistic environment,
Mhm.
right? But we need to go back to what we were born, like that divine right. We have a right to rest. That's what we did initially. Our body, we knew when to rest. We knew when it was time to relax and sit down. We knew that, and then life hits, and now we don't rest until we're darn near having a heart attack,
Mhm.
and a doctor has to tell you to sit down somewhere,
Right.
or you have a stroke, right? And
Mhm.
so I love the build-in that she does. And I really am not intentionally trying to skip past, but I do think that there's a part where she provides a list of ways. And I think that's important for our listeners, is those practical ways
Mhm.
that you can build rest into your life, your
Mhm.
lifestyle.
Yes,
Um,
on page 85.
yeah, here we go. And so, when I started going over this list, I started thinking, dang, I might do one of these.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe two, maybe two.
You
But
got to be intentional.
yes, but
Yeah.
when you look
Yeah.
on this in the book, if you don't have the book, just a few things like closing your eyes for 10 minutes,
Mhm.
you know,
Just read
a,
through the whole list.
a longer shower in silence,
Mhm.
meditating on the couch for 20 minutes, daydreaming by staring out of a window, sipping a warm tea before bed in the dark. That's what caught me. Slow dancing with yourself to slow music, experiencing a sound bath or other sound healing, a sun salutation, a 20-minute timed nap. I have tried that. That's good. Praying, crafting a small altar for your home, a long warm bath, taking regular breaks from social media, which I do want to hit before we move on, not immediately responding to texts and emails,
Mhm.
deep listening to a full music album. We don't even say albums anymore, okay, I know what she's talking about. A meditative walk in nature, knitting, crocheting, sewing, and quilting, playing a musical instrument, deep eye contact, laughing intensely. And so rest looks like the things that we could do every day throughout the day that
Mhm.
really shut down this grind, and I've got to work, and I'm going to take 10 minutes even in my 9 to 5. I'm going
Mhm.
to shut my door. I'm going to take 10 minutes. I'm not answering a text message. I'm not answering the phone. I'm just going to close my eyes.
Mhm.
And so I love that she brings very practical ways that we can exercise and really begin to change how we live by building rest into our day to day, and not this idea of I have to go on vacation.
Mhm.
I've got to spend $1,200 in order to rest.
Mhm.
That's false.
Mhm.
And oftentimes that is not about rest.
Mhm.
Hmm.
A lot of times, the average person, and I don't want to say the average person, many people, when you go on vacation, you have a list of maybe 10 to 15 things you want to do because you paid for the flight, you paid for the hotel room. I don't know when I'll be back here again, so I need to do this. When I went on my first cruise, I think I lost two friends for life because every day they had certain things planned. My plan, the boat had a library. I'm good. I think I got off the ship twice. The rest of the time, all that other stuff, because at that particular point, I was a single parent with two, I need to rest. And I'm okay with that. And, and then we need to go shopping. And um, I remember there was a whole big fluhaha about the night when you get dressed up and you sit with okay. All right. I get dressed all the time. We good. Just see you. I'll be in here. But I think even when we go on vacation, if we're not, as Allison said, intentional,
Hmm.
we end up not getting any rest on our vacation.
Mhm.
Uh,
Right.
it's and you're right in that she does, particularly if you listen to the audio version, you notice the repetition more. But that
Mhm.
repetition, I think, is necessary because for many of us, it really is a reframing
Mhm.
of how we exist. And it's also, we've got to be okay with going against the tide
Right.
because in different ways, you'll find that people can get uncomfortable with you prioritizing your rest, whether
Mhm.
they mean to or not. It's kind of like, why are you tired all the time? And
Mhm.
as you guys just said, it's you don't have to be tired. It's rest is a part of life. Um, and I like the fact that those practical steps, you might not do all of them, but just find a couple of them that resonate with you and build that into your day. I enjoyed that list. I picked out about 4 or 5 that
Mhm.
a couple that I do, but several there that I really want to add into my personal routine.
Yeah.
I have to touch on the social media because I think it's one of those additions that's anti-rest. Dream, right? While we're dreaming, we can just see somebody's idea on social media and just go from there. And so she talks about, the dream, and on page 68, in the first paragraph, um, we as a culture spend countless hours a day on social media, with numerous studies naming it as a digital addiction. 32% of teen girls said that and we've probably heard this, when they felt bad about their bodies, Instagram made them feel worse. The authors wrote in a presentation obtained by the Wall Street Journal. They often feel addicted, and know that what they're seeing is bad for their mental health, but feel unable to stop themselves. And then she goes on in 69 to say our mental health is strengthened when we are away from the glare of computer screens and not absorbing the thoughts and
Mhm.
ideas of thousands of people during one day of endless scrolling. So when we think of resting, of course, from a historical point of view, social media, we don't have context for that, right? However, today, and because of technology, we we are all caught probably needing to do a detox. And she
Mhm.
talks about how to do that. Sometimes it's like taking a little bit of time, maybe 20 minutes, not cold turkey, but to really say to yourself, I need to steal away, if I could use that old historical term, right, in our community, steal away and turn it off so that we can clear our minds. Because what is lying dormant, she mentions that what is lying in dormant inside of us is so much talent, so many ideas, so much inside of us. But it's really hard to grasp that if one, we're not resting, and a part of that rest is detoxing, turning off social media.
What I loved about that part was it it made you really look at the whole idea of social media and what it really is intended for. And
Mm-hmm.
that's no secret, right? There's no secret. The idea is the more people we can get spending more time on there, you're rewarded for it. People are getting paid for it. So the more people that are spending more time with what, so it's the same thing.
Capitalism.
It's almost like a trick though. It's like, okay, and that's why you think of like young people. That's why it's so attractive. It's like I don't have to have a 9 to 5, but it's still
Mm-hmm.
doing the same thing. That was kind of what I thought about the whole social media piece. Is
Right.
the intention is to keep people scrolling for longer and longer. So the videos get shorter. So now you're spending more time because you're looking at more videos. Um, and while it has its place, it's really about the balance of it. And do you really want to take in so many thoughts and ideals from so many different people and sources?
Mm-hmm.
That is something that even we do as coaches, right? Like we're speaking to people all the time about what it is that they want and what they desire. There is no way that you can definitively have those times to dream or think, have an understanding of what you know when you're so consumed, or you're choosing to consume um, all of this content from so many different sources. So we don't
Right.
really know what it is. There is no room for what it is that you are here to do, like that whole purpose, that whole
Mm-hmm.
dream, right? You totally are disconnected from that because you're connected to so many other sources. So that's kind of what made it interesting to me, and understanding that it's not saying you can't do it or you shouldn't do it.
Right.
You shouldn't have to sleep with it, have it there answering it or responding to every single message every single time. Put
Right.
it away, put it in another room. She gave some great examples of that too, but it's still all still grind, just easier because now you don't got to get up and go anywhere.
Right.
Yeah, it is. I want to move on to dream, but the one thing that I highlighted is the idea that we need to be intentional about rest. And on page 83, rest is anything that slows you down enough
Yes.
to allow your body and your mind to connect in the deepest way.
Mm-hmm.
Rest is for everyone caught up in the web of grind culture, period. I mean, and I think that's a great kind of summary basically of what she's saying, that we need to rest, right?
And laying in your bed with your phone in your hand scrolling is not
It's not rest. Actually, I told someone today, I used to say that I think my excuse was I love, social media is great because I'm a visual person. And then I said to myself, no, I'm just addicted to social media. I just need to
tell it like it is.
I need to keep it real with myself, and then I need to work from there and not try to make up justifying why, But there's so much more we can say, y'all. We have so much. I mean, our time is moving, so I do want to go into dream, and one of the things that she says in the first page of Dream, down at the bottom, this ministry uplifts daydreaming as one of the many forms of rest, a form of rest that can be accessed at any time. And so it's like, to me, she talks more about resting, but she does now talk specifically about daydream. And I was thinking about this because she mentions about, kids going to school, and if you're caught daydreaming, it's almost like it's a bad thing, and you're taught from the gate, like, stop it. You're wasting time. This is what we're supposed to be doing. And I can remember being a little girl, and to this day, just dreaming. I was only child, so it was me and the dog. So it was like thinking, dreaming, thinking of different ideas. And I think you're never taught that that's productive or that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're never taught that it's important to create in your mind. I think, as Alexis said earlier, we're taught to grind, that our work is more important and what we're doing. So I do want to ask, as we're reading through and going through this, have we had models of dreaming, or are we, four women here, are we the first generation, if you will, of dreamers in our family?
I would say so, or at least the first generation who will actually verbalize a dream and take action towards it. So I don't doubt that the dreams happen, but what's their space, permission to even acknowledge those dreams?
Right.
To go after those dreams, right? To be connected to your divine purpose on this earth. I would say no, that the space just was not made for that to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say similar to what Dr. Sharita said, that we may be, and I think there's some other dreamers scattered here and there in our family, but I think in kind of significant number, we're probably the first people in our lineage to honor our dreams and not push them back or know that we're dreaming and then just simply say, but I can't.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that, many of our, when I think back, many of our, I can think of several elders who had dreams, but it always ended with a but
Yeah.
gotta, but no, I can't, but I don't have,
Mm-hmm.
but if I do. And that simply because, as you said, they weren't, or they didn't feel that they had the space to explore their dreams, to honor their dreams, and to acknowledge that that's a part of my divinity. I mean, I get to dream, and I get to move forward on the dream as opposed to, because we will work really hard without recognizing that we're working on somebody else's dream.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
when it's our dream, it gets fuzzy because now I'm not working.
Mhm.
I will work my fingers to the bone for their dream, but
Mhm.
my dream is less important. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's just less because it is my dream. And that is something, again, that's a reframing, that's a mind shift that has to be done.
Yeah.
Even so, you said that your dream is, or my dream is like less than, right? I see it as them viewing their dream as being like it's too risky. Like I can't risk livelihood going after my dream. I can't risk the failure associated with going after my dream. Me working my fingers to the bone for somebody else's dream who said that they would pay me every week, every 2 weeks.
Mhm. Mhm.
I trust them more than I trust
Nice.
myself,
Mhm.
which does still go
Which
back
is,
to
yeah,
what you feel about your own value and worth.
Mhm.
right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
Definitely, definitely all tied in.
Yeah.
And you're I think Dr. Malika said it originally is you weren't really it wasn't really a thing to push somebody to their dreams, right? You start daydreaming, or like that's
Yeah.
silly, or even if you verbalize things that you wanted to do, man, nobody does that. Go
Right.
on over there and get that job and work 20 years and retire. And like that's they
Right.
push it
Yes.
for, so again, that's that you have to look inside yourself and move beyond that programming, even in that area.
Yeah.
If you're
And that's
thinking
the
about
model.
streaming. Oh yeah, for
That's
sure.
that's the model, right?
Mhm.
Hmm.
We all probably, the model is hard work,
Hmm.
such and such years, and the clock or the watch. That's the model. The
Hmm.
model isn't, even though you may have seen talents and gifts in your parents, the model is work.
Hmm.
And so to branch off of that, and even now just reading something like this, I think for me it makes you think even more.
Right.
I just need to sit and look out the window tomorrow morning.
Yes, yes.
I mean, I know how to dream, and okay, let me break off on the book for just a second. In your 30s, sometimes like in your younger years, you're dreaming, you're doing everything. And something happens when you get older and you think, okay, do I really, you may not stop, but you start thinking, should I settle down? Should I just
Mhm.
go with, this is more stable? Like who's pivoting at like 53? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Who's pivoting? Everybody's just doing and I think that she opens up this, it's like opens this mindset, um, this pathway in your mind to say, no, you can pivot until you die, right? You
Mhm.
can dream until you are no longer here.
Mhm.
And that you have access to that at any time. And that opens something up for us as a people
Mhm.
to dream. That's what we've known
Right.
historically.
Mhm.
We are dreamers and we are creators and we are inventors. So it takes a little work, but I'm just saying it just does something to be able to sit and just think through and dream a different an idea.
Mhm. And how she describes, dreaming as being a way that like we connect and communicate with God.
Right.
And if you do not have the opportunity to dream, and dreaming only can really happen in a state of rest, not necessarily sleep, but a
Mhm.
state of rest, that means your ability or opportunity to commune with God, for Him to give you the direction you need
Mhm.
to pursue that thing, like it's not there,
Mhm.
Right.
right? So this whole lack of rest, it's just like a ripple effect. Like
Mhm.
if you don't decide to, I'm switching, I'm going this way now. Like I'm
Right.
no longer walking this path of no rest. Like it will continue to push you further and further away
Mhm.
from the one who gave you the dream anyway, who
Right.
can equip you to do what you need to do, can point you to where the resources are and the people you need to connect with. Like all of that can energize you for the work that does need to happen.
Mhm. Yeah.
You're kind of drifting away, and for me, it comes back to alignment. Like,
Mhm.
if I cannot communicate with my creator, like
Mhm.
I start to get off course. And the longer
Mhm.
I go without that communication, I get further, further, further
Mhm.
off course to now I'm going in a direction. I don't even know where I'm headed. I'm just floating.
Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
And probably not resting.
Probably not
Right.
resting.
Right.
Probably not, yeah, probably not resting. And to me, it's almost as if it's a circle or a continuum, because one of the other um, themes, let me put it that way, one of the other themes that's gotten really big in the last 10 to 15 years is this whole idea of manifesting. And people are like, well, if you do, write this down 700 times and spin around in a circle and look backwards, you can manifest your dreams. And there's a way you do it and a way you don't do it. And I think as what I thought of as I was going through the book was, again, the idea of connecting the dream with my God or my creator and
Mhm.
acknowledging where the dream comes from
Mhm.
frees me up to feel that I am 100% responsible for hitting that dream,
Mhm.
because that dream was given to me. And
Mhm.
so some of that dream, I might know what to do. Other parts, you know what? I don't have any idea how I'm going to get there. I don't have any idea how it's going to happen. I don't know where that's going to come from. I don't know who's going to give me that. I don't know but because I'm not in hustle mode where I have to have all the answers and I got to keep going, I got to keep going, I got to get it. But instead, I'm focusing on that line of communication,
Mhm.
which a lot of times is some juncture of dreaming and resting. I am comfortable in the fact that this is going to happen, but I don't have to rub my fingers to the bone or just do 18, 20 hours a day trying to make that happen. In fact, in some cases, the work, the work, if you will, is really just the rest and allowing yourself to dream. That's the work,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
it's not
Good.
work as we know it to be physical labor, but that or even mental anxiety. It's
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
the breathing and the allowing yourself to dream and knowing that, you know, this is being given to me. I'm going to do a part of it. The other part, gee, I don't know how that's going to happen, but that's okay. That's
Mhm.
okay. I don't have to have all of the answers. But again, I think you have to be careful who you kind of share that thinking with, because people, nah, if you want that to happen, girl, you got to go get, you got to make, you got to get, you got to, and that is not always um, how that happens. In fact, that is not, if we look at the creation, that's not how that happened.
Mhm.
But again, it's just a really reframing how we look at things.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. I think it's
It,
really good because you hear, especially like being in the coaching world, right? You hear this, like you do what you know to do,
Mhm,
and even if you don't know what to do, do something,
mhm,
do something. So then you get people who are like, I gotta do. Like I'm gonna try whatever I need to try, and
making it up.
right, and like I'll try 100 things. One of them gotta be right.
mhm.
Mhm.
Where really it's just like sometimes just sit still,
Be still.
be quiet, and listen for the instruction. But we
Right,
don't know how.
right.
We'll sit still for a day, and it didn't come to me. God didn't speak to me. Whatever, however you're gonna frame it. Don't know how to actually sit still for a longer period of time, because while God moves in perfect timing,
Mhm.
it's not always in our time. And it's
Exactly.
like, I'm gonna pray tonight, God give me an answer.
Got to see it. Or I'm going.
No, I'm gonna need to
I'm
know
done
that by when
dreaming.
I
I
get up in
quit.
the morning. No, I need that by 9:30 because I got to go out the house. So I'm in the car at 9:30. What you got? So you're not gonna say nothing? I don't. What am I gonna
You're
do?
like,
Right,
let
right.
me give God a time limit here.
Exactly. Or
It
we take
is.
the fact that we didn't hear it in the time as the answer. So now it's like, well, he didn't say anything, so maybe I shouldn't do it.
Right.
Come on, man.
Right. Because what she talks about is faith, and
Mhm,
that being the very core
Mhm.
it's the very thing that drives her through this whole thing.
Right.
mhm,
Mhm.
mhm.
And I think that's a component that many people miss and just don't. They might name it something else, but you do have to be connected with the one who knows where you're headed,
Right.
Mhm.
which for all of us is the Lord Jesus. Like, we know that God is the one who provides us with with that direction. And so when you're not connected, you hear all sorts of things. And I don't want to get into how people are still successful and they don't hear from God. I don't, but we know that it is really important that sometimes you have to settle down, be still,
Mhm.
right? You have to listen in and hear, however God speaks, through that dream, through that thought, through the rest.
Mhm.
um that's good. This is good. Okay, so just on page 97, we've talked about this already. There's a few things I want to skip through on this page. We don't need, on the first paragraph, we don't have to be burned out, sleep deprived, painfully exhausted, or disconnected from ourselves and each other. um And then she goes down to talk about rest. To rest in a dream space is a red brick through the glass window of capitalism. And just the whole idea of being to rest in that dream space, right? Um, but then she also goes down and says there has been a dream space theft. Our ability to dream, pause, and daydream has been replaced with the robbing of time, self-worth, self-esteem, hope, and connection to ourselves and each other. By putting people to sleep, we are waking them up. How do we dream about a future we want to see? How do we simply tap into our dreaming flow? Who taught you the capacity to dream? Who are the sharpeners of your vision? When did you desire to daydream? When did your desire to daydream fade away? I mean, she goes on, and how did you begin to welcome yourself into a dream space? And I think for those who are listening who may not have the book, this whole concept of dream space, really as a form of rest, is critical, I think, to our life, to our health, and creating something that may not exist, right? Again, there's no model in my life for someone who says this grind that you're doing is abnormal. It
Right.
is not really what we are supposed to be. And and so we have to take ownership now that we know, right? What do we say? Do better. Right? But now that we know, it is important for us to begin to create the language, reprogram and undo this idea that that grind culture is the norm and it's the only way. And I love that it is the red brick, right? When we picture the red brick, right? Into capitalism. I can still be productive. I can still be successful and rest and dream and go inward and connect with the Lord and find peace and get direction. I can still have high self-worth and rest
Yeah.
and take 10 minutes off and still be productive. I can be refreshed, and however I need to be refreshed, I need to do that. But I need to make that's intentional. That's intentional work. And it's going to require us to do work.
Yeah. And it's not just about sleeping.
It's not. It's not. I mean, she goes through the whole, the experience that she had, the nap, experience with bringing 40 people in, and just
Mhm.
I just love how she describes that.
Right. You
Picture
can
me, like,
picture it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I started
Mhm.
picturing it in the car. I said, Lord, let me focus. I'm driving here. But I could just picture, and I thought the vulnerability that you experience when you're in a room with 40 people and you go to sleep, and someone who was crying because they just didn't feel bad about getting that kind of rest.
Mhm.
Um, but I love that it's so much deeper. It's so much deeper, and understanding that this has to be, I would imagine that the rest adds years to our lives.
Oh, for
Mhm.
sure.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So before you move on to the next thing, I don't think she, at least in what I've read so far, I don't believe she has really differentiated napping from sleeping. But she isn't really talking about what you do at night, like at
Mhm.
your
Right.
bedtime, right? And when she does talk about napping, it really is during your day or your waking working hours, right? Taking respite, stopping the busyness of the day and going to rest so that you can renew, right? And
Mhm.
refresh yourself. And I
Refreshing.
think it's important to make the distinction between just because somebody might be watching this saying, like, well, I I sleep every night, I get enough
Right.
rest.
Mhm.
They are really two different things. Now, like you're sleeping, it's almost like if if you don't sleep, like your body is gonna put you to sleep at some
Mhm.
Right.
right?
Right.
Like
Right.
Right.
you might be driving the car when that happens. You know what I'm saying? Like you will go to sleep at some point, right?
Mhm.
Your body will just take like knock you out. And while sleep is important and good sleep is important, what she's talking about is really almost like a shifting of your energy in the middle of the day
Mhm.
and allowing yourself to remove yourself from the hustle and
The
grind,
grind.
even
Mhm.
if it isn't hard work per se,
Mhm.
Right.
right? But
Right.
just disconnect, disconnect and go settle your mind.
Mhm.
And the thing is, when you do that, yes, you come back, you feel better, but you're also more productive. Your
Mhm.
mind is clear and free. You can like refocus and all of that. So there's different benefits from napping than there is from sleeping at night. And your napping during the day can actually help you sleep
At night. Yeah.
more peacefully
Right.
Mhm.
at night. And
Yeah.
that sleep is really around is but they're both connected to your health, but in different ways. Because you know,
Mhm.
like sleeping that 6 to 8 hours that you're supposed to get for a very short period of your life, because most people like younger and older should be getting more than 8 hours, says the science. Um,
Mhm.
Mhm.
that that is helping your body, like your cell regeneration, and like that's part of your physical healing process and all of that. Whereas your napping is really more about the emotional and mental
Mental.
healing than
Yeah.
it
To
is your
connect,
physical
yeah,
healing,
to the source and connecting
spiritual
to the
healing.
source. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
good. Love it.
We didn't even finish the chapter.
You said, but the
Surprise!
time is up. But the time is
But the
up.
time is up. We got, you know what I'm saying? We got to pay sponsors and stuff.
Yeah.
But this was good. I mean, I feel like this is challenging me for sure
Oh,
to think
absolutely.
differently. Because you know, I like hustle bustle. I don't, and
Mhm.
I'm learning to. I've got to rethink that.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
So this has been really good. Love it. Go grab a copy of Rest is Resistance, a manifesto. Tricia Hersey. Listen, it's good.
Absolutely. And we will be back on December 18th to talk about the last two chapters, which are part 3, Resist, and part 4, Imagine. So I'm excited to see what else Sister Hersey brings to the table.
It's not going to be what you
Yes.
think. Whatever you think, it's not going to be what you think.
Yes, yes, absolutely. But as I said at the top of the show, if you do any work in DEI or even in education and you're like, doing that trauma informed education and therapy, like all of that, and you work with us,
Yeah.
you might want to pick up the book. Read it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Support.
Yeah, I think it would help inform your practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I do want to say before we end, it has been a pleasure. I'm with you guys as often as I can be. So I really appreciate this, and I'm feeling a lot better about not cooking Thanksgiving dinner and purchasing it. My self-worth is
Right.
sky high. Because I need me to rest and dream and relax and breathe. So this is a perfect way to prepare for that.
It absolutely is, and that is really good because again, that like you're obligated to do certain things. So some people wouldn't even think, yeah, I'm gonna just have it catered or whatever. I got to do this or like it's family tradition and all of that.
Well, you're not thankful if you don't cook 750 items in one day.
Right. Then
You are still worthy. You are still worthy.
You are.
You're frustrated, and then you go back to work on Monday with an attitude.
Getting mad.
Attitude and pounds that you didn't really want to deal with in the first
Right. It was all, but it was your decision. It was your choice to do that.
There you
So
go.
know that it is okay to choose differently.
Honor your dreams.
I'm honoring my dream and my desire to rest. There you go.
Love it.
Yeah. All right. So thank you, Alexis, for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Guys, come back on the 18th. Feel free to do so. Ladies, it has been another great conversation with the coaches are in. Tune in next week for our next episode. We'll have another one of our guest experts joining us. And I think we may be talking about holiday decorating on next week's episode, if my memory serves me correctly. So want to tune into that as well. And we are getting close to the end of season 2. I cannot believe it.
I know.
Yes, December 18th of the next live book discussion will actually be the last episode of season 2. So just stay in touch, subscribe, like, share, and all of that good stuff. And remember that you have the opportunity to join us as a guest in recognition of your business and service to the community, or as a guest expert if you have some expertise that you want to share with our audience that we believe will be of good value to them. You can check out thecoachesrn.com to get more information about those opportunities. But for now, I guess we're going to say that the coaches are out.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.